And there you have it. Game one of the NLDS in the books. This is the Bleed Los podcast post-game show presented by our partners at BetOnline. Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all of your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all of your sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports events like tonight's MLB NLDS series, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. So if you head on over to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code, which is BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. Huge thanks to them for presenting this one. So the Dodgers win 5-3 against the San Diego Padres, Los Padres del Sur, and Julio Urías gets the win, but not with a little bit of adversity. He had command of his fastball all night. That secondary stuff, he just couldn't get a good, no pun intended, grip on it. But the Dodgers offense struck early, and they were pretty relentless with the pressure. But after really the third inning, there wasn't a lot there. So, Roger, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the game overall?
Well, I mean, I like the way it started. I mean, I thought after that first, second, third inning, I thought, okay, this is going to be one of those games that they just blow them out, right? They looked really good, and then after that, they didn't get another hit, right? After the third, they didn't get another hit off the Padres bullpen. So that's a little concerning. I get Dodgers probably came out with a lot of, they had their built up momentum, aggression, just wanted to get out their playoff game, and they struck first, especially off Clevenger, who they've handled pretty good. So overall, obviously we'll take the win. We got to get those bats going, obviously, in the later innings, and keep the pressure on.
Well, and 10 more to go. Win for Vin, the hashtag that the Dodgers are and everyone's going to be using. My takeaway from it all though is the bullpen was just as we all planned, right? Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia, Bruce Gratterall, and then with Chris Martin to close it out. That's how we all had it pinned in the beginning of the season, right? But I thought Chris Martin looked great. I thought Vesia looked fantastic. I'm gonna throw a hot take out there that I think Alex Vesia might be a big game pitcher. Whatever. But end all be all, the Dodgers won, and even as Dave Roberts said earlier in the day, you got to go out there and just win. That's what it all comes down to, and I think that was the most important thing. I will say this about the Dodgers starting it early. I think Trey Turner heard a lot of the criticism, right? I think Trey Turner heard that he didn't show up in the postseason, that he struggled in the postseason, all that stuff, and he kind of shut everyone up pretty early because he hit that bomb to get things going. So it was good to see that. But kind of your big four outside of Trey, we're a little quiet. Are you concerned about that at all?
I'm not concerned. I mean, we're discussing this with Freeman, Mookie, and JT were 0 for 10. Mm-hmm. And that's not a normal night, right? For Mookie and Freeman and JT, they're going to get their hits. So they're going to get them tonight. So they're coming tomorrow. They're coming tomorrow on the next game. So not concerning. I know those guys are going to be fine, and they're going to get their hits. So they didn't get them tonight. So looking forward to them tomorrow night.
Well, and I also think, if I'm not mistaken, the stat was the Dodgers were 0 for 17 against the Padres bullpen. And I believe they had 14 straight retired since I think it was a Wilson walk. So, and the wild thing is that the Padres, they didn't use Garcia, Suarez, or Hader. So that was interesting. That but it sounds like they kind of were just saving it to fight another day. But all things considered, though, I was impressed with how the bullpen handled everything. Evan Phillips got out of a jam. He didn't get an out for 20 pitches, and that's kind of when I was just like, oh boy, like something ain't right here. But once he kind of got that out, he got the thing going, and then they turned it over to Vesia. Vesia looked great as well, and Vesia was pumped. Evan Phillips was pumped too when he got that last out. I feel like when we talked to him, he said to himself, he's a pretty unassuming guy. Kind of keeps his composure. He kind of let it out a little bit there because he got out of that jam with the great double play that they turned. So again, all in all, there was adversity. but they were able to turn it around. And also, it rained. That came out of nowhere with the rain there towards the end, and that was kind of unexpected as far as that went too. But as we look ahead to tomorrow, they got Kershaw and Darvish going, and I think, again, it's more than anything. Everyone was saying that whoever kind of wins game one, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the series and potentially, kind of even clinching it. But all in all, though, I think it was a good win, all things considered, because they had that layoff. Can't really simulate, a playoff game. That's tough, especially with that home crowd, right? Even the Sportsnet LA guys were talking about it, and even the Fox guys were talking about it. The crowd there was unbelievable. They did a great job. They were in it all the way through, and it helped out with Urías. But I wanted to ask you, as we move ahead, looking at it as we look at this game, what were your thoughts on Urías and kind of how he handled everything?
I mean, I thought Urías, he started out great, right? That troubled inning was a fifth, right, where he gave up the home run. Looked like he lost his composure a little bit, and kind of just, seems kind of when he gets rattled sometimes a little bit. I think he kind of got rattled after that home run, and then it kind of just led to him being taken out. But overall, I think he was dealing first couple innings, and he obviously he kept them in the game. They built the five run lead. He didn't give it more than the 3 runs right there. So I'm good with his start. He got the win. Right, like I said, that's all that matters. Now we look forward to the next game. I still think, like I said, this is a 5-game set, right? Like I said, a 3-game set. The first game, crucial. Yeah. I think it's just pretty much as crucial in a 5-game set, because now you got game 1, you get tomorrow. Now you're going to San Diego up 2-0, right? And that's San Diego's in a real tough spot, and if they do that, if they get the split, obviously new series, but now the pressure's on San Diego. Dodgers get that win, they could potentially sweep this series up in San Diego. And I don't know how much it's in their heads, but I heard this too. The Fox guys were talking about it after their game. Dodgers didn't play that great, after the 3rd inning, right?
Right.
And they still won this game. So, that's got to start creeping into San Diego. Obviously, they couldn't beat them all year, right?
Right.
So that's got to start creeping in their head. Like, these guys didn't play their best game. We still couldn't beat them. So, so tomorrow, if Dodgers get that win, this could be a real quick series.
No, and I mean, and you're right. You're 100% right. All the pressure kind of goes back onto the Padres. And listen, tomorrow they're not throwing out some schmuck either, right? They're throwing you Darvish, who's been lights out for the last little while. And I was telling you after, I feel like the stars aligned as far as that went matchup wise, because that's going to be a hell of a pitching duel. But even at that, it's now it's go time, right? Because now it's like, okay, we got 1. If you get 2, then that again, it continues the momentum shift for the Dodgers. But most importantly, it puts a lot more pressure on the Padres, because now you have to go down south, and it's an elimination game, and that's best case scenario for the Dodgers. But obviously, you can't sweep everyone either, right? So you just kind of have to take it game by game. And if we know one thing about Clayton Kershaw, he's going to focus on pitch efficiency and try to keep that count down. Whereas tonight, like I said, Julio faced a little adversity. The Padres, they've been hot. There's just no other way to put it, right? They've been hot, and they went out and made it a little tough there towards the end there for the Dodgers, but the Dodgers were able to pull it out. For all of you that are joining us on the live, thank you so much for joining us. Chime in. Want to hear if you were at the game, what you guys thought overall, because again, this is just us. We're just talking. For all we know, everyone has a different perspective. Philip Lopez, how you doing, man? And I would agree with some of that. I think, at the end of the day, man, the hype is hype, right? There's East Coast bias. We talk a bunch about it. I feel like there's one thing that's really irritated me kind of about this entire season, and it's not giving due credit to some of these Dodger pitchers like Julio Urías, of course, and obviously Clayton Kershaw's case has already been made, but even a Tyler Anderson, the national media, I should say. So I feel like this is going to be a good coming out party for those that don't know, but again, the East Coast bias is real. We've talked about it a bunch. It sucks, but it is what it is, right? But now is their time to shine as far as that goes. But you know what, man? I was a little surprised with the the Trace Thompson kind of being thrown into the lineup. Were you surprised by that at all, Roger?
I wasn't. I mean, I think I texted you guys earlier. I kind of expect him to get a big hit in this series. I was
Yeah.
looking, hoping he would have got a home run tonight. He's kind of close on one, but I think he's gonna do something in the series where he's gonna be like, okay, that's why he's in the lineup. In this series. He's done it all year, and I expect him to do it in this series.
Well, and the shocker, we didn't get to talk about this because when we talked to the Ring the Bell guys, we didn't have rosters yet. Craig Kimber was left off, and that was a little bit of a not a real big surprise, but kind of a surprise because he's a bit of a he's considered a future Hall of Famer by a lot of folks, myself included. And they just like we all penned it at the beginning of the season. Chris Martin went out and got the save tonight in Game 1 of the NLDS, but Chris Martin looked great. Even though he gave up that single to not Kim, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name.
Was it Cronenworth?
Cronenworth, thank you. He gave up that single. I mean, obviously, in a situation like that, it's better to give up a single than anything else. Even though you still get the tying run up to the plate, you're still better off to limit the damage more than anything. I still thought Chris looked really good. Because the thing there isn't really a defined closer, right? And I think that's a thing with baseball now. There isn't necessarily your traditional closer like there used to be. But I still feel like the way that we expected the Evan Phillips appearances and even the Vesia appearance kind of went to plan, I guess, as expected. Nothing really surprising there, right? Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I had no idea who was going to close this game out. I mean, I thought maybe it'd be like Gratterall, maybe to Canely. But
I thought Gratterall was going to close, if I'm being honest with you.
I thought he'd close. I thought he was going to come back for the 9th after that one pitch out to Manny Machado. I thought they'd bring him out. But you were telling me off air, you think differently, right? As far as how they're going to use Gratterall.
Yeah, I mean, I thought with Gratterall, I think he's going to be used more in in the higher leverage situation stuff, or even matchup stuff. Just more or less because he throws casual 100. And there's some guys that can't hang with that, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. And it kind of shows that because it's just a one pitch outing. But we also have to remember he's coming back from injury. So with the Dodgers, anything is possible as far as that goes. But I wouldn't be shocked if they just use them in matchup situations. But also wouldn't be shocked if they use them as a closer, because I mean, that's the thing, right? When you have the depth, you can use it kind of to your benefit. And especially if you don't have to use it, then it works out for you. I mean, the Padres didn't use any of their big arms tonight either, right? So it kind of benefits both sides as far as that goes. And I mean, the Dodgers did burn through a lot of bullpen innings, right? That could play in the benefit of the Padres when you kind of look at the scheme of it all. But they have you going tomorrow. They save their big guys. But that doesn't necessarily mean that these guys for the Dodgers won't be available tomorrow, because clearly Gratterall will be available moving forward. He threw one pitch. So, it's still, obviously it's Game 1 of a 5-game set, and, things can go sideways pretty quick, but I'm not overly worried because, again, the Dodgers put the pressure on early on. Will Smith had himself a great game. Trey Turner overall had a great game himself. And what I liked, considering the layoff, the first 3 innings, the guys were patient. Towards the end, though, you could tell like a Cody Bellinger, for instance, was getting a little impatient and frustrated, just kind of hacking at everything. And I did, by the way, I thought it was hilarious because I saw the ball hit the knob, and I just thought that he didn't even sell it. Like he just did this and then just went down to first. And it's like, bro, you got to sell it. Even though we have replay, you still got to sell it. But again, I think it was still a good win because they've been off for, the better part of a week. It's really hard to simulate a postseason game. And again, it's also against the rivals. So I'm not worried about that. Jesus Yaquez, thank you for joining us, man, is asking, do you think Vargas gets any playing time? I think he's going to be just kind of a matchup guy because a lot of guys haven't seen him yet as far as, the Padres go. So I think that works in the benefit for the Dodgers to kind of use him here and there. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays any defense. So it could all work out because, again, they put out Trace today over CT3, but CT3 was available. So I'm not worried about that. Philip asks, what do you guys think? Sorry, I wear glasses, so I have to squint because I can barely see my stupid screen, so I apologize. What do you guys think about CT3 playing center instead of Bellinger? His defense is good, but his bat is still not playoff ready and looks the same in the regular season. CT3 comes up big in the playoffs. So I'm going to play devil's advocate, Philip. Cody Bellinger also has a big-time playoff bat. So, it can go either way. I mean, I think the electricity of Belly's bat is probably why he's still in the lineup, and he's left-handed. Those are probably the two kind of sides. But I know I trust Belly because he's been on a tear, man. He has been on a tear. I think he's been hitting I think he was 340 and some change the last 10-ish games. So, it's again, you're kind of knocking off the ring rust, if you will, the proverbial ring rust. So I'm not worried about that. But great point there, Philip. Roger, looking ahead to tomorrow, is there anything that stands out to you that you're maybe a little worried about, or kind of what do you see the outcome of tomorrow? Because again, you got Kershaw going against you. I think Austin Barnes is going to be catching Clayton. I don't see how that changes. But then again, Will Smith is, he's hot right now. What say you?
Well, real quick, back to Philip's question on CT3. I don't think you want to take him out of center field, because Bellinger's, he's shown he's one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. So, taking him out, even though his bat, sometimes it's kind of hot or cold. But as of late, he ended the season pretty good. I think today he was a little amped up. I think he wanted to get that hit. He came up with the bases loaded. I think that's when he got hit right or hit the knob. He was looking to do some damage right there. So he was a little amped up. So hopefully kind of settles back down a little bit, and tomorrow going forward, he gets back to kind of where he was the last couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So as far as going forward tomorrow, I was looking. Well, I didn't know what was going to go on. Like when we got to the 8th, I didn't know, are they going to use Trinan? Were they going to bring in May? Maybe May for 2 innings. But these were kind of like high leverage situations. Like, can they trust these guys in high leverage situations? They're both coming back from injuries. How are they going to put these guys in?
Yep.
Into a game? How are you going to bring in Trinan? How are you going to bring in May? Like, what's the situation to get these guys involved and in the game? Because we don't really know what to expect. We haven't seen. We saw Trinan for one outing, and then from prior to that, we haven't seen him since May.
Yes.
And Dustin May too. Like he's been out. He had the bad back or whatever it was. So he finished the season on the IL, so we haven't seen him. Yeah, they did play in these simulated games, and they were playing and throwing the hitters, throwing the batters, but we don't know what to expect with them. So that's kind of the question going for tomorrow. Like, are we going to see them, and what situation are they going to put them in? Obviously Darvish, he was talking about it today. He was talking about he's a different pitcher from 2017 when we know what happened in Game 7. So. And he's been a different pitcher, so they're gonna need to do what they do: is stay off those bad pitches and make them work. Get to the 5th inning, and even though the bullpen was lights out today, you want to get back into that bullpen.
Yeah, 1,000%. And and I'm saving the best for last year, Roger, since I know you're a big Gavin Lux guy defensively. Gavin Lux with the game-saving double play there for the Dodgers. If Bet Online would give us, the benefit of giving the Bet Online MVP of the game, I think it'd go to Gavin Lux because that was a clean play. He fielded it great and got it over to Trey to do the double play. Were you surprised by that, or because again, we talked about this with the ring the bell guys. When the lights get bright, you kind of find out who's down with you, right? And I feel like Gavin overall had a pretty good game on both sides.
Yeah, that was a huge play. That's exactly what they needed right there. Evan Phillips had been, like you had mentioned, he had gone already 20 pitches, and he barely he got the strikeout or whatever, 1 out, right? So that was a huge spot. They score again right there. It could be a tie game. So, and that was a hard hit ball. What is it? Over 100, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like 108 or something like that.
So he made the great grab, threw it to Trey, and they were able to, and it looked like too. Did you see Trey had a little bit of trouble getting it out of his glove.
Yeah,
And
he almost got
yeah,
stuck or something. Yeah.
yeah. So like I thought, oh, he's not gonna get the double play, but fortunately they were able to turn it, and that that was probably the turning point of that game, right? And they got out of that inning, no damage done. I think I tweeted out "No pasa nada," as Juan would say.
Yeah.
So all's good, and we'll move on.
No, and I mean, listen, in looking ahead, I think it was Jesus Yaquis, I apologize. Should Lux be in the 9-hole just to be able to give Mookie at bats with someone on base? Honestly, I think the way that this lineup is, I think right now it's good for at least for the time being. I mean, obviously Dave could do whatever tomorrow because you Darvish. But at the end of the day, I agree with you that you want to give a little bit of insurance to get Mookie at bats, but you got to get Mookie going too, right? Like Mookie didn't, he looked pretty impatient at the plate today. Again, I think that's a part of that proverbial ring rust just kind of getting knocked off a little bit. But I think overall, Gavin Lux had himself a great game, and I will not stand for Gavin Lux slander anymore, Roger. So just for the record, if BetOnline were to give us money, that's a hint. That's subtle. BetOnline, the BetOnline player of the game would be Gavin Lux. For those of you asking for Game 4, the pitching situation, I think Philip is right. I think it's going to be Gonsolin and Heaney for Game 4. Opener, I don't know what the word is, like opener / opener.
Tandem tag team, right?
Yeah. And I think Tyler Anderson goes Game 3. But I mean, here's the other thing, right? I mean, you have Anderson and Gonsolin. I assume that's what'll happen in Game 3. And I'm sorry, just Anderson Game 3, and then Gonsolin and Heaney Game 4. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, they talked about it on the broadcast. This Dodgers rotation has the best staff ERA in all of baseball. So you really can't go wrong one way or the other. And if you can use, a Gonsolin and a Heaney for Game 4 to eat up innings, so you don't have to get into your bullpen early, why the hell not, right? I mean, that way you can save guys until potentially the 6th or even 7th inning, and you get to an Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol again, Chris Martin. I mean, it worked out today, so why not try to go for that? Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I'm not at all. I mean, looking at the other side, what do you think of? Melvin announced, I think, Game 3, their Game 3 starter is going to be Snell, so that means Musgrove's 4.
Yeah.
So would you keep that rotation as is, or would you try and flip flop, Snell and Musgrove after the games Musgrove just had? Because I mean, you never. Does anything change after tonight? Now being down 1-0, and you don't know. I know definitely will probably change after tomorrow after down 2-0. But does that change anything?
I think it changes after tomorrow. If the Dodgers win tomorrow, then I think that changes. Because I mean, the thing about Blake Snell is he had a great game that he was pitching until the 6th inning, until his manager pulled him out in the World Series against the Dodgers, right? But granted, that was 2 years ago. So time changes, things change, scenarios change, all that stuff. He does have a great record against the Dodgers, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if they did change it up because, like you said, the way that Joe Musgrove is throwing right now. So no matter what, I think tomorrow is when you kind of make that decision. But I could also see Bob Melvin just saying, you know what, this is what we're going to go with. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes that way. Because again, he's a traditionalist, but I know he also understands, it's a short series, so things can change. But if he wants his guy to, maybe he knows that Musgrove goes better on regular rest. I don't know. I don't know if he's a short rest guy and he can handle that, because some guys can't. That's just the honest truth. Some guys can't. But you never know. He might also just Musgrove might go to Bob and say, hey, I'm ready. You can use me in relief. You can, they have that option too. So not, anything could change. Anything can change is kind of where it's at. Because tomorrow is what's going to determine that in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, if they go down 2-0, Game 3 is all hands on deck, obviously, right? They'd go Snell, Musgrove, whatever they can do to get a win out of that game.
Well, and the hope too is if the Dodgers win tomorrow, then that way I think it kind of limits the chance that that Urías makes another appearance, right? And the idea I think would be that Urías and even Kershaw, you don't see them again until the NLCS. That's kind of the embarrassment of riches that this rotation gives you too, right? Where you can kind of rest your 2 horses and rely on these other guys as far as that goes. So that way you don't have to kind of overwork them. And if there's something that's happened with the Dodgers, they've gotten criticism for overworking the horses. So this is a good chance for them that if they can win tomorrow, they have an opportunity for an elimination game in San Diego. So that way they don't have to do that again.
When you were saying the tandems like of Gonsolin, maybe Gonsolin and who do we say game 4? Gonsolin and Heaney, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, do you think they would go maybe Anderson and May like for a game 3 if we haven't seen May?
I mean, you can. I mean, remember in the World Series that they used May a little later in the game instead of having him open or start or whatever. I mean, you have that opportunity, and especially coming back from an injury, you kind of want to ease him into it. You know, you don't want him to aggravate anything because it's also a back injury. If we've learned anything as Dodger fans, we all know about back injuries because of Clayton Kershaw. Philip with a question. Were you guys surprised to see Bellinger in the 9th hole in the lineup today for today's game? Also, do you think Roberts made that lineup or he definitely had help with that? So as far as the Bellinger thing, I'm not surprised just because you want to have, you know, as much of a murderer's row of a lineup as you possibly can, you know, to make it difficult for the other side. So not surprised there. As far as help, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's, you know, they've talked openly about that. Like, would you be shocked if he had any help, Roger?
No, I mean, I think we've discussed this before. It is kind of as we've been saying, a tag team of when they get that lineup ready to go. So there is you know, help from the front office and as far as, you know, their everyday lineups.
Well, and to Raul Flores' point, I agree with him 100%. You got to keep the bats consistent for game 2 because, I mean, listen, man, Yu Darvish is a bad dude. There's just no other way to put it. He's one of the best in the league right now. He's shown it time and time again over the last few years that he's I mean, that's why the Dodgers traded for him not too long ago, right? So he's the truth. You also have to remember that the Dodgers didn't get to their big, you know, big time relievers. They didn't get to Hader, they didn't get to Suarez, they didn't get to Garcia, and those are the guys that are, you know, it's kind of their Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol's types, you know, they're getting to that point. So the Dodgers, you know, that again, even though they struggle there with that dead sequence, if you will, you know, going 0 for what was it, 0 for 17 after the third. At the end of the day, that was, you know, that they were still able to keep the lead. And for me, I mean, the Lux Trey Turner double play, that's the play of the game. It saves everything, and that's why they were able to have that win. You know, being able to do it on both sides of the ball. But again, the biggest thing I think tomorrow is going to be keeping the bats consistent and waking those bats up because you want to pad some runs against the Yu Darvishes of the world because the Padres show tonight, they can get gritty too.
Yeah. Real quick. I don't know if Eddie Torres is asking a question or a statement. No chance Urias goes game 4. No chance he goes game 4. He'd come back in game 5.
Yeah.
If need be.
If need be. So. And you know what? Best case scenario, you don't have to worry about the if need be, right? Like if they take care of business tomorrow, then it gives them a pretty good opportunity for an elimination game to just be an elimination game down in San Diego and move ahead to the NLCS. The other reason I'm cool with, you know, most of the time I am not one to call for a sweep, but I'm cool for a sweep because you do have some guys that are coming back from injury. They still want to give them a little bit of time to get right. Dustin May being one of them, right? We've talked about that. You know, back injury. Again, we talked about it too. We all know about back injuries. You know, those are real. But I still maintain, and I've said this, that I think this is going to be a really good series because now we get into the real, you know, Clevenger, no disrespect to Garrett. Or Michael, sorry, get him confused.
Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine. No disrespect to him, you know, he had to go today. Today was his go day because they're trying to rest up these other guys after the series that they just had. That's the benefit that the Dodgers have. But now getting into it tomorrow is the real matchup, right? And what I mean by that is you got two horses doing the thing. And again, no disrespect to Sunshine, but if you look at his stats, he's not been very good this year.
I mean, especially against the Dodgers. Padres didn't really have a choice, I think, for today. Nope. You either have Clevenger or Manea, and Dodgers have killed both of those guys. Yeah, so They were in a tough spot coming.
Yeah, they were in a tough spot no matter how you go about it. But the Dodgers took advantage of that tough spot that they put themselves in, and they were able to be opportune, and that's how they get the win in Game 1 of the NLDS. Tomorrow is Game 2, 5:37, first pitch on Fox Sports 1, I think, not Big Fox, but I think Fox Sports 1. I think Clayton. I will say this. I will go on the record to say this. I think this is the best that we have seen Clayton Kershaw pitch in a really long time. And Clayton Kershaw is a really good baseball player, a really good pitcher, first ballot Hall of Famer. But I think, and I've said it all year long on our show, I think this is the best Clayton Kershaw that I think that we have seen in a really long time. And that's why I would be scared if I'm the Padres. And it's partially because of how loose he's been all year. And again, I know I've talked a lot about Yu Darvish, and no disrespect to Clayton, but this is going to be the matchup of the series, I think, because Clayton Kershaw understands the task at hand. He talked about it in the presser yesterday, that a part of the reason he came back is for things like this. So he knows what is what is at hand and what's the expectation. And for me, when you have he's not even Jaw-Face Clayton, right? He's been having a good time. He's been really loose. Now your typical Clayton Kershaw. That's why I'd be terrified if I was the Padres, because you already are, you don't necessarily have your backs up against the wall yet. But if you lose tomorrow, you for sure have your backs up against the wall. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I mean, so the Padres got their horse and Darvish, going tomorrow. But when you look at Clayton Kershaw's career stats against the Padres, you know what those are? He's
Insane.
23-9 record with an ERA of 2.03, 310 strikeouts in 45 games against the Padres. So Padres got a tough task coming tomorrow as well. So, this could be one of those classic pitchers duels, but, hoping the Dodgers can, get a couple runs off you early and kind of just let Clayton take care of the rest.
So the Dodgers take Game 1 of the NLDS 5-3. A lot of questions were answered as far as the ring rust and all that jazz. But you know what? Tomorrow it keeps going. For those of you that are wondering, Juan and Alicia cannot join. They are at the game, and they weren't able to join us. So we were hoping that we could get a little bit of reaction from them from the ravine. But alas, technology said, not happening today. But it is what it is. But as we look ahead to tomorrow, we will do this again tomorrow after the game, and hopefully they can join us. But thank you for all of you that joined us and chimed in, and again. We always appreciate the interaction. We always appreciate you guys retweeting all of our stuff, especially, with the quote unquote play-by-play that we do on Twitter and all that jazz. We really appreciate it all. And this was presented by our partners at BetOnline. If you head on over to BetOnline today, betonline.ag, and use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, you will receive a 100% reward bonus for simply using that promo code. So go do it. Bet on tomorrow's game, because that's a thing. You can do that. So BetOnline, thanks to them, where the game starts. And we will catch you guys tomorrow. Drive safe. It's raining, so drive safe. Do all that good stuff. And we will catch you guys tomorrow, and go Dodgers.
See you tomorrow night after another Dodgers win.
See.